There are evenings when a room feels expensive enough to behave like a person. It watches you, weighs you, and decides whether you belong before anyone has even said hello. The ballroom at the Wilshire Halden had that kind of confidence. Gold light spilled from chandeliers in soft, deliberate layers, catching on champagne flutes, diamond earrings, polished cufflinks, and the glossy leaves of enormous floral arrangements that looked less arranged than strategically conquered. The walls were hung with modern pieces from a private collection, abstract bursts of wine, charcoal, bone white, and copper, and the entire room smelled faintly of lilies, perfume, citrus peel, and money that had been quietly multiplying for generations. Los Angeles knew how to put on a charity gala. It also knew how to pretend charity was the main point. I stood near the edge of the ballroom with a glass of champagne I had no intention of finishing, smiling at a man who had been explaining his investment philosophy to me for almost 12 minutes without once asking a question. He had a silver watch, a soft jawline, and the expression of someone who believed the word disruption still sounded original. I gave him the look I used in boardrooms when someone said something foolish but legally harmless. Attentive. Calm. Mildly encouraging. Dead inside. My team has been looking very closely at property data integration, he said. There's a lot of opportunity in that space. Yes, I said. I've heard. Because I ran a company in that space. Because he knew I ran a company in that space. Because men like him often mistook proximity to a subject for mastery of it, and women like me were expected to be flattered by the attempt. Across the room, my mother laughed. Not laughed exactly. Performed amusement. Vivienne Dawson could turn her head 20 degrees, touch someone's sleeve with 2 fingers, and make 3 people nearby feel underdressed. She wore a deep plum gown with long sleeves, diamonds at her ears, and the kind of composure that suggested she had never once entered a room without improving the property value. She was surrounded, as usual. A retired studio executive. 2 philanthropists. A museum board chair. A woman from Bel Air who had once told me, with genuine sorrow, that her second home in Aspen had lost its intimacy after the renovation. My mother looked radiant among them. She also looked dangerous. Those 2 things were often the same thing with Vivienne Dawson. Vivienne. Her voice cut through the hum of the room with perfect precision, soft enough not to draw attention and sharp enough to end my suffering. I turned with immediate gratitude. The investment philosopher was still mid-sentence. Excuse me, I said. My mother needs me. He looked disappointed, which was unfortunate for both of us, because I could not imagine why. My mother extended a hand as I approached, and I took it automatically. She kissed the air near my cheek, her perfume warm and expensive, something ambered and floral. You look like you were about to commit a financial crime, she murmured. I was considering something smaller. A misdemeanor. Good girl. Always begin modestly. I took a slow sip of champagne to avoid smiling too much. Encouraging my mother was a dangerous hobby. One laugh and she took it as consent to reorganize your entire life. I hope you're enjoying yourself, she said. That depends. Is anyone else going to explain my own industry to me? Almost certainly. Wonderful. I do love tradition. Her eyes warmed. You handled Philip nicely. I don't know who Philip is. The man who just bored you. That was Philip? I believe so. You invited him. I invited his wife. Philip arrived attached. That was my mother's view of many men. Objects that arrived attached. She turned slightly, scanning the ballroom with the quiet satisfaction of a general viewing a battlefield after an elegant victory. This gala supported an arts education foundation she had chaired for 3 years, which meant the flowers were better, the guest list sharper, and the silent auction dramatically more competitive than it had any moral right to be. I'm proud of you tonight, she said. That caught me off guard. My mother praised selectively. Not coldly, never coldly, but with enough precision that it always landed. She could compliment your earrings and somehow make it feel like a performance review. For standing through Philip? I asked. For what you built. Her gaze shifted to mine. Half this room has invested in something, acquired something, inherited something, or ruined something. You built something. It matters. I looked away first. Naturally. Emotional sincerity from my mother before 9 p.m. was rude. It's a business, I said. It's your business. It has employees, not a soul. Darling, most people in this room have souls with worse management. I nearly laughed into my champagne. She looked pleased with herself. Not smug. Warmly delighted. As if she had set a small verbal fire and was enjoying the glow. Then her eyes moved past my shoulder, and something in her expression sharpened. Oh good, she said. Alexandra is here. I turned back. Alexandra who? Brooks. The name landed with mild recognition first, then an immediate and private irritation. Alexander Brooks. Alex. My mother's trainer. Wellness consultant. Occasional miracle worker, according to every woman over 45 in her circle who had suddenly developed excellent posture and an unbearable enthusiasm for mobility work. I had met her twice, possibly 3 times, depending on whether one counted the day my mother had lured me to something she called restorative yoga, and I had discovered, too late, that the restoration required effort. Alex had taught the class with bare feet, calm authority, and the kind of easy physical confidence that made everyone else in the room look like we had borrowed our own bodies for the afternoon. I remembered her because she had smiled at me after I failed to hold a pose for more than 4 seconds and said, "Your shoulders are negotiating with your pride." I had not appreciated it. Accurate observations rarely improved my mood. You invited Alex? I asked. Yes. To this gala? For balance. I looked at her. Balance. You know exactly what I mean. I truly don't. You do. I love my friends, but after 2 hours of people saying impact and legacy while bidding on private wine tastings, one needs someone in the room who can still identify a hamstring. That is a very specific social need. She amuses me. That is never safe. She tells very rich people the truth with a polite face. I find that refreshing. You find that recreational. Yes, my mother said. That too. I followed her gaze across the ballroom. And there she was. Alexandra Brooks had arrived without making an entrance, which somehow made the room notice her more. She wore a simple black dress. It should have looked understated. On Alexandra Brooks, it looked like a legal gray area. The dress was elegant, restrained, almost severe in its simplicity, falling cleanly over her frame and stopping just below the knee. It did not sparkle. It did not beg. It did not perform the desperate little dance that so many gala dresses did under chandelier light. It simply understood the assignment and let her body do the rest. She was slightly taller than I remembered. Or perhaps I had been distracted during yoga by the quiet humiliation of discovering my hips had opinions. Her dark blonde hair was swept back loosely, not fussy, not careless, and her skin had that warm, healthy glow of someone who spent time outdoors voluntarily, which I considered suspicious. She paused near the entrance, accepted a glass of champagne from a passing server, and said something to the woman beside her that made the woman laugh too loudly and touch her own necklace. Of course. Alex smiled, not broadly, not flirtatiously exactly. Just enough. She had the kind of confidence women usually either wanted to sleep with or report to a committee. I was still deciding which category felt more responsible. She looks well, my mother said. That's her brand, isn't it? Vivienne. What? Try not to sound like a woman personally offended by muscle tone. I am not offended by muscle tone. Good. Then your face is doing something unfortunate on its own. I turned my face toward her slowly. Mother. Yes. You invited her because she amuses you. Yes. And for balance. Yes. And not because you are about to begin one of your little projects. Her brows lifted. My mother had a talent for looking innocent that would have insulted a jury. I don't have little projects, she said. You once convinced a senator's wife to leave her husband by seating her next to a French architect for 4 dinners. That was not a project. That was mercy. You rearranged the entire guest list. She had been wearing beige for 14 years. Mother. She's happy now. She moved to Provence. Exactly. Before I could answer, Alex looked our way. Her eyes found my mother first, warmed with recognition, then moved to me. Green. I had forgotten that. Not pale, not soft. A clear, steady green that looked amused before her mouth did. She crossed the room with the smooth ease of someone who knew how to move through crowds without shrinking or performing. People glanced at her, assessed her, tried to place her. Actress? Investor? Someone's daughter? Someone's wife? The LA categories of relevance. Alex did not seem to care which drawer they put her in. That, I admit, was interesting. Unfortunately. Evelyn, she said when she reached us. My mother extended both hands. Alex took them, and they kissed cheeks with the familiarity of women who had survived lunges together. You came, my mother said. You invited me to watch wealthy people donate aggressively under soft lighting. How could I refuse? My mother laughed, delighted. I looked down into my glass. There it was. The hobby. Vivienne Dawson, Alex said, turning to me. Not Viv. Good. She knew the rules of distance, at least in public. Alexandra Brooks. Her mouth curved. That sounded like a legal notice. I've been standing near lawyers all evening. It may be contagious. Tragic. Should I keep 6 feet away? That depends. Are you insured? My mother's eyes moved between us with far too much interest. Alex took a sip of champagne. For most things. Most. I work with rich clients. Absolute statements are dangerous. My mother made a soft sound of appreciation. See? This is why I invited her. For liability commentary? For honesty. I charge extra for honesty, Alex said. You undercharge, my mother replied. Alex smiled at her. I tell you that every week. And I ignore you beautifully. You ignore me with excellent posture now. Yes, my mother said proudly. I'm unbearable in a healthier way. Alex's eyes moved to me again. Did she force you into the charity circuit tonight? My mother doesn't force, I said. She creates conditions under which refusal looks socially primitive. Alex nodded as if this were useful data. Efficient. Dangerous. Those often overlap. My mother looked radiant. I should have walked away then. That was my first mistake. Not walking away from 2 women who enjoyed each other's sharp edges was negligence. I knew better. I had been raised by one of them. A server passed with tiny spoons bearing something pale and architectural. My mother took one. Alex did not. I did not. We watched Evelyn examine it. What is this? She asked. The server, who looked 19 and terrified of ingredients, said, whipped cauliflower with preserved lemon and black sesame. My mother considered it. How brave of cauliflower. Alex's lips twitched. The server blinked. I rescued him with a smile. Thank you. He fled. You're cruel, I told my mother. I'm honest. You frightened him. He'll recover with stronger calves if he sees Alexandra. Alex lifted a hand. Please don't recruit for me at the cauliflower station. I recruit everywhere. I've noticed. You should thank me. I should increase your rate. My mother waved this off. Money is so dull when one has enough of it. Alex's expression did not shift, but something in her eyes sharpened. Not offense exactly. Assessment. Money is only dull when it behaves, she said. My mother looked delighted again. I studied Alex despite myself. There were plenty of people in this room who would have laughed too quickly at my mother's line. Plenty who would have agreed because Vivienne Dawson had said it. Plenty who would have turned money into a joke only people with too much of it could safely make. Alex did not. She corrected without correcting. Politely. Smoothly. No resentment. No performance. Just a line drawn exactly where she wanted it. Interesting. Again, unfortunately. My mother saw that I had noticed. Of course she did. Vivienne Dawson missed nothing except boundaries, and only because she considered them decorative. You still haven't come back to class, Alex said to me. I've been busy. Everyone says that. Everyone might be correct. Sometimes. Usually they mean uncomfortable. I looked at her. Are you accusing me of avoiding discomfort? Not accusing. Observing. You've observed me for a total of 90 minutes. And your shoulders did most of the talking. My mother made a delighted sound. I turned my head slowly. Please don't encourage her. I'm not encouraging, my mother said. I'm witnessing. Alex's smile deepened. You were good, actually. I did not expect that. It must have shown, because her expression changed, just slightly. Less teasing. More direct. You listened, she said. You were annoyed about listening, but you did it. That's possibly the least romantic compliment I've ever received. Oh, I can do worse. I'm sure. Your plank was honest. My mother choked lightly on champagne. I stared at Alex. She held my gaze with perfect calm. My first mistake had been not walking away. My second was finding her funny. Not visibly, obviously. I was not reckless. But internally, something in me shifted by half an inch. Alexandra Brooks looked at me like I was a locked door, and she had never met a lock she didn't enjoy studying. Unfortunately for her, I was not a door. I was an entire security system with trust issues. Vivienne, a voice said from behind us. I turned. Arthur Wexley approached with his familiar old money glide, wearing a dark tuxedo, white hair, and the kind of smile that made people believe their names had been placed on lists without their consent. Arthur was not unpleasant. That would have been too easy. He was polished, generous in public, traditional in the way men became traditional when tradition had always served them. My mother's hand found my wrist. Lightly, then not lightly. Oh, God help us, she murmured. I looked at her from the side. Arthur reached us. Evelyn, he said, kissing my mother's cheek. You've outdone yourself. I'm devastated you're surprised, she replied. He laughed, though not quite quickly enough to prove he understood the danger. And Vivienne, he said, turning to me. You look exceptional. Thank you, Arthur. You always do your mother proud. My mother has high production standards. She always did. His eyes moved to Alex. And I don't believe we've met. Alexandra Brooks, Alex said, extending her hand. Arthur shook it, assessing with the polished interest of a man deciding which category she belonged to. Arthur Wexley. I know, Alex said. Evelyn has mentioned you. Arthur looked pleased. My mother looked amused. I looked at Alex and wondered whether she had meant that kindly. Impossible to tell. Promising. Good things, I hope, Arthur said. Useful things, Alex replied. My mother took a sip of champagne. Arthur gave a small laugh. Well, I'll take useful at my age. Brave, Alex said. His smile faltered for half a second, then returned. I should not have enjoyed that. I did. Arthur turned his attention back to me. My son is here tonight. My mother's fingers tightened around my wrist. Ah, there it was. He's been meaning to speak with you, Arthur continued. He's very interested in what you're building. Quite impressed, actually. Kind of him, I said. Not kind. Sensible. He's been looking at adjacent acquisitions, and I told him, if you want to understand where the market is moving, speak with Vivienne Dawson. That was generous. It was accurate. I felt my mother shift beside me. Arthur glanced over his shoulder. He's just there. James. Mother, no, I thought. Actually, I did not think it. I said it. Quietly. Through my teeth. Mother, no. My mother smiled at Arthur with the gentle warmth of a woman preparing to do something irreversible. Then she reached for Alex's hand. Alex looked down at Evelyn's fingers closing around hers. I looked at my mother. Slowly. Evelyn said, in a voice bright enough to carry and soft enough to seem intimate, Arthur, darling, I should have told you earlier. Vivienne and Alexandra are engaged. The room did not stop. Rooms never did that in real life. Music continued. Glasses clinked. Somewhere, someone laughed too loudly at a board member's joke. But the air around us changed so completely that it may as well have shattered. Arthur blinked. Alex went still. I forgot briefly how to breathe without committing murder. My mother held both our hands like a priestess at a small, tasteful sacrifice. Arthur's smile opened and closed before settling into a new shape. Engaged, he said. Yes, my mother said. Her voice was perfect. Warm. Proud. Final. I turned my head toward her. You really can't help yourself, do you? Alex's fingers were still in my mother's hand. She had not pulled away, which I respected. Or distrusted. Possibly both. Arthur looked at me, then at Alex, then back at me. Well, he said. That is wonderful news. Yes, I said. It came out like a threat. Alex glanced at me. Her mouth twitched. Not now, I wanted to say. Do not find this funny. Do not you dare. I had no idea, Arthur said. It's recent, Evelyn replied. That was one word for it. Very recent, I said. Alex added, remarkably. My mother ignored us beautifully. Arthur's son arrived at that precise moment, summoned by paternal confidence and terrible timing. James Wexley had the clean, expensive look of a man whose shirts were pressed by someone who knew his coffee order. He was handsome in the way furniture in staging homes was handsome, appropriate, neutral, and unlikely to surprise anyone. "James," Arthur said, visibly adjusting his plan midair. "You know Vivienne Dawson, of course." "We've met," James said, smiling. "Once. At a private dinner where he had spent 20 minutes explaining zoning law to me incorrectly." "Vivienne," he said. "Good to see you again." "You too." "And this is Alexandra Brooks," Arthur said. "Vivienne's fiancé." James's smile paused. Only for a second. Then it returned, almost perfectly. Almost was my favorite word in rooms like this. "Congratulations," he said. "Thank you," Alex replied. She said it calmly, smoothly, like a woman who had not been publicly engaged against her will 30 seconds earlier by my mother. I looked at her. She looked back. "Wrong woman, sweetheart," I thought automatically, though I was no longer entirely sure which one of us I meant. James lifted his glass. "That's wonderful. I didn't realize you were seeing someone." "Private life," I said. "Terribly private." Alex made a soft sound that could have been agreement or amusement. Arthur recovered faster than his son. Men like Arthur had survived market crashes, divorces, board coups, and daughters who married musicians. A surprise fiancé was inconvenient, not fatal. "Well," he said, "I'm delighted for you. Both of you." "Very kind," Evelyn said. James looked at Alex. "And what do you do, Alexandra?" "Private training. Wellness consulting. For athletes. For people who want results and are willing to be honest about the work." Arthur chuckled. "That sounds like most of this room should be terrified of you. Only the ones who lie to themselves." My mother's face lit with silent joy. James gave a careful laugh. I stared at my champagne. This evening had become a hostage situation with better lighting. Arthur and James left after another minute of polished congratulations. Arthur promised to speak soon. James said it was really lovely news. My mother thanked them with such grace that anyone watching would have thought she had not just detonated a social grenade and arranged the flowers around it. The moment they were out of earshot, Alex gently removed her hand from my mother's. "Mrs. Dawson," she said very evenly, "you cannot be serious." My mother turned to her with a smile. "Terrace," I said. "Not a suggestion." My mother looked at me. I looked back. For once, she did not argue. The terrace doors stood open beyond the ballroom, letting in the warm night air and the scent of jasmine from planters arranged along the stone balustrade. The city stretched below us in layers of light, soft gold and white against the dark. A few guests stood at the far end of the terrace smoking discreetly, laughing into the night as if no one's mother had just invented an engagement. We moved to the opposite side. Alex set her champagne on a high table with controlled care. I still held mine. That was probably wise. The glass gave my hand something to do besides gesture toward the ledge and ask my mother whether she preferred a dramatic or tasteful death. Evelyn stood between us, serene. I took one breath, then another. "Explain," I said. My mother folded her hands. "Arthur was about to parade James in front of you. So you invented an engagement. It was efficient. It was deranged. It was socially clean. It was insane." Insane would have been allowing James Wexley to discuss acquisition strategy with you for 45 minutes while Arthur watched like he had arranged a dynastic merger. Alex raised one hand slightly. "For the record, I also vote insane." "Thank you," I said. "Don't thank me too quickly. I'm still deciding whether to sue your mother or ask for hazard pay." My mother looked at Alex. "You'll be compensated." Alex stared at her. That was not an invitation to begin negotiations. "It is now." "Mother," I snapped. Evelyn's eyes came to mine. For 1 second, she was still amused. Then she wasn't. The shift was subtle enough that no one across the terrace would have noticed. Her smile disappeared first. Then the softness around her eyes. Then the warmth in her posture pulled inward, replaced by something clean, sharp, and terrifyingly composed. This was not Gala Evelyn. This was not Mother Evelyn. This was the woman who had once removed a board chair from a foundation in 36 hours without raising her voice or wrinkling her silk blouse. "Both of you," she said quietly, "listen to me." Alex's expression changed. Mine did not. I had grown up with this tone. It still worked. "Arthur Wexley heard me," my mother said. "His son heard me. 3 people behind him heard enough to repeat it badly by breakfast. If I retract this now, Vivienne looks unstable, I look ridiculous, and Arthur smells blood where he was already looking for leverage." "Leverage?" I said. "This is my personal life." "Yes," she said. "And you are naive if you believe this room knows the difference." I hated that. Mostly because she was right. Alex crossed her arms. "With respect, Mrs. Dawson, your solution to gossip cannot be to rent a fiancé. I'm not renting you. I'm offering compensation for your time, your discretion, and the inconvenience." That is an extraordinary distinction. It is an accurate one. "No," I said. "Absolutely not." My mother turned to me. 1 year. I laughed once. "No. 1 year," she repeated. "You maintain the engagement publicly. You attend key events. You present stability, continuity, commitment. Arthur loses interest. James loses access. The gossip settles into something useful instead of something humiliating." "Humiliating for whom?" "For all of us if you make this difficult." Alex's brows lifted. That sounded almost like a threat. Evelyn turned to her. It was clarity. The night air moved softly around us. Inside, the orchestra shifted into something slower. My mother continued. "You, Alexandra, have built a career among people who test boundaries for sport. You know exactly what happens when someone senses uncertainty." Alex said nothing. "You are not intimidated by wealth. You don't flatter people into weakness. You don't behave as though money makes someone more interesting than they are. I respect that. More importantly, I trust it." Something flickered across Alex's face. Not softness. Not yet. Attention. Evelyn looked at me next. "And you, Vivienne, have built a company with more discipline than most people bring to a marriage. You know how to evaluate risk. You know how to protect what matters. But in your private life, you keep choosing people who either want your shine, resent it, or mistake your restraint for something they can use." My jaw tightened. "Careful," I said. "No. Just no." Quietly. Sharply. Completely. My mother stepped closer. "I adore you," she said. "I am proud of you beyond language. I am also tired of watching brilliant women make emotional decisions they would fire an executive for making. That is not your decision. It became my problem when Arthur started circling you like you were an asset class." Alex looked down briefly. I could not tell whether she was amused or horrified. Probably both. She seemed annoyingly capable of multitasking. "This is absurd," I said. "It is inconvenient," my mother corrected. "Absurdity would be pretending either of you has built a stable private life so far." Alex's eyes cut to her. There it was. The first real spark of irritation. "Mrs. Dawson," Alex said, "you don't know anything about my private life. I know you are almost never alone and somehow still unattached." The terrace went very still. I looked at Alex. A muscle shifted in her jaw. My mother did not soften. "I did not say that as an insult," she said. "I said it because it is true." Alex's voice lowered. "I choose freely. Yes. And apparently often." "Mother," I said. Alex looked at me. "No, let her finish. I'm curious how much more polite violence she has in stock." My mother inclined her head. "Enough. That should not have been funny." It was not funny. I did not laugh. Internally, unfortunately, I respected it. Evelyn continued. "I am not asking either of you to fall in love. I am not asking for theater. I am asking for 1 year of public stability and private discipline. Nothing terrible will happen if 2 competent adults spend 12 months learning commitment." I stared at her. "Learning commitment." "Yes. You make it sound like Pilates. Pilates requires honesty too." Alex made a small sound. I turned to her. She lifted both hands. "Sorry. Occupational reflex." My mother's mouth almost curved, then flattened again. "If you make this difficult," she said, "I will become more difficult. And I am very good at that." No one spoke. Jasmine. Traffic. Distant laughter. I looked at Alex. She looked at me. For the first time that evening, we were not opposing each other. We were simply two women standing in the wreckage of my mother's certainty, calculating whether survival required temporary alliance. I hated that she looked calm. Not pleased. Not compliant. But calm enough to think. It made me want to shake her. Or ask how she did that. Obviously, the first option was safer. This is not happening, I said. Alex's gaze remained on mine. It did happen. That is not the comfort you think it is. No. But it's the problem we have. Wait. I did not like the word. It landed too close. My mother noticed. Because of course she did. 7 o'clock tomorrow, she said. Dinner at your house, Vivienne. We'll discuss everything properly. No, I said. Yes, my mother said. I have a meeting at 7. No, you don't. I stared at her. She smiled faintly. I checked. You checked my calendar? I gave birth to you. Don't be provincial. Alex looked away. Her shoulders moved once. Are you laughing? I asked. No. You are. A little. Wonderful. My fraudulent fiancé has a sense of humor. Alex looked back at me, eyes bright. Careful. That almost sounded affectionate. Wrong woman, sweetheart. Her smile deepened. Damn her. My mother looked between us and exhaled with visible satisfaction. No, I said immediately. I didn't say anything. You breathed smugly. I breathed with optimism. You're enjoying this far too much. Yes, she said. But not more than it deserves. Then she picked up Alex's champagne from the table and handed it back to her as if concluding a business meeting. Tomorrow, she said. Alex accepted the glass slowly. Mrs. Dawson. Evelyn, please. We're nearly family. Absolutely not, I said. My mother kissed my cheek. You're welcome, by the way. Not now, obviously. Later. And then she walked back inside, leaving me alone on the terrace with Alexander Brooks, the Los Angeles skyline, and the freshly murdered remains of my autonomy. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then Alex took a sip of champagne. I looked at her. Don't. I haven't said anything. You were about to. I was about to ask if your mother does this often. Publicly fabricate engagements. Control weather patterns. Frequently. Alex leaned one hip lightly against the stone balustrade. She seemed comfortable in the night air, in the dress, in the impossibility of the situation. I found that irritating. I found many things irritating. That one had shoulders. This is not funny, I said. No, Alex agreed. Her voice had changed. That surprised me. The teasing had drained from it, leaving something steadier underneath. This is not funny, she repeated. And I'm not agreeing to anything tonight. Good. But your mother is right about one thing. I narrowed my eyes. Choose carefully. She said it happened. Again, not helpful. It means by tomorrow morning, people will know. Maybe not everyone. Enough. I hated the way she said it. Practical. Direct. Not panicked. My own panic was much more dignified, obviously, but it was still panic. This is my life, I said. I know. You don't. Her gaze held mine. No, she said. I don't. But I know what it feels like when someone with power decides they know better than you. That hit somewhere I had not prepared for. I looked away first. The city shimmered below us, beautiful and indifferent. She had no right, I said. No. She thinks being right gives her rights. Dangerous habit. She's impossible. She's also frighteningly effective. I looked back at her. Alex shrugged lightly. I didn't say I approved. I said effective. You admire her. I admire anyone who can terrify a room without raising her voice. I don't necessarily want to be adopted by them. Too late. She has a project. Alex's mouth curved. I'm beginning to understand. I set my champagne down before I broke the stem. We meet tomorrow, I said. We refuse cleanly. We create a story about a misunderstanding. Private joke. Champagne. Something. That might work. Might. If your mother lets it. She is not a dictator. Alex gave me a look. I sighed. Not technically. She smiled again, softer this time. That was worse. When Alex teased, I could resist her. When she looked at me like she understood the shape of the problem, I had fewer defenses prepared. I preferred problems that arrived labeled. "I'll see you tomorrow, Vivienne," she said. My name sounded different in her mouth than it did in Arthur's. Less like a title, more like a challenge. I stepped back. "Good night, Alexandra." Her eyes sharpened with amusement. "Legal notice again. Get used to it." I don't usually get used to things. I adjust them. I gave her my coldest smile. How invasive. She laughed quietly. And I hated, with immediate sincerity, that I liked the sound. The next morning, my phone began punishing me at 6:12. 3 messages from my mother. 1 from a board member's wife. 2 from people who should not have had my number. And 12 from Kate. My sister lived in New York with her husband, 2 children, 1 dog, and the smug emotional distance of someone safely 3,000 miles away from our mother's operational range. Her first text read, "Why did I wake up to Mom saying congratulations are complicated?" The second, "Vivienne." The third, "I swear to God, if she bought you a husband, I'm flying home." The fourth, "Wife? Fiancé? Please clarify the category of maternal felony." I lay in bed staring at the ceiling of my bedroom, which was pale plaster with soft beams and a light fixture my mother had once called tasteful but emotionally noncommittal. My house was quiet around me. Warm morning light moved through the linen curtains. Outside, the garden was waking slowly, olive trees silver in the sun, bougainvillea bright against stucco, the pool beyond the terrace catching pieces of sky. I had bought the house 3 years earlier after selling a portion of the company, because everyone expected me to buy something glass-walled and severe in the hills. Instead, I bought warmth. Terracotta floors, arched doorways, old wood, a kitchen with hand-painted tile, a library that still smelled faintly of cedar no matter what I did, a house that looked like someone could live in it. Most days I did. Efficiently. I picked up my phone. Not a husband. Kate replied immediately. I noticed the gender, thank you. I was working through panic. Me, not helpful. Kate, is it Alex Brooks? I sat up. Me, how would you know that? Kate, Mom sent a photo. I closed my eyes. Of course she had. Kate, she's hot. Meet Catherine. Kate, don't Catherine me. Mom accidentally engaged you to a woman with arms. I'm processing. Me, she did not accidentally do anything. Kate, true. Mom does not accidentally blink. Another message appeared from my mother. Evelyn, 7 o'clock. Don't wear black. It makes you look like you're attending your own trial. I stared at it, then typed. Me, I am attending my own trial. Her response came 30 seconds later. Evelyn, then wear ivory. It suggests innocence. I threw the phone onto the bed. It bounced once, offended. By noon, the situation had evolved from humiliating to operational. My assistant had flagged 3 social mentions from Gala attendees, all vague but enthusiastic. Someone had posted a photo of my mother standing between Alex and me, her hands clasping ours, looking radiant enough to bless a cathedral. The caption did not say engagement. It said, "Beautiful night celebrating art, impact, and love." I considered deleting the internet. At 1:40, Arthur Wexley's office sent a handwritten note to mine. Congratulations on your wonderful news. Stability is a rare and admirable thing. I read it twice. Then I called my mother. She answered on the second ring. Darling, Arthur sent a note. How thoughtful. He used the word stability. How on theme. Mother. Yes, you did this. I did many things. You'll need to be more specific. You turned my personal life into a strategic communications asset, only because you were underusing it. I inhaled slowly. Some daughters had mothers who baked. Mine weaponized optics. I am canceling dinner, I said. No, you're not. I am. Vivienne. There it was again. Full name. Control setting. Do not use that voice on me, I said. I'm using my calm voice. You're simply resistant to wisdom before lunch. I am resistant to being engaged without consent. Understandable. That stopped me. She continued, be angry. I would be disappointed if you weren't. Then be practical. Alexandra is coming at 7. So am I. You invited her to my house. I did. How did you even get her number? I have her number because she texts me reminders to stretch. Of course. And because we're friends. You are not friends. You are a patron of controlled suffering. She likes me. She tolerates you professionally. She likes me, my mother repeated, with absolute confidence. And she's curious. That is worse. It is useful. It is invasive. Good. You need invasive. Your boundaries have become an architectural style. I pinched the bridge of my nose. I have work. You always have work. Because I run a company. And yet the company has not once held your hand at dinner. That is because the company has appropriate boundaries. My mother sighed. Not dramatically. Never dramatically. She considered drama vulgar unless she was directing it. 7, she said. Ivory. Then she hung up. At 6:45 I wore black. Obviously. The house looked too inviting for the occasion. I had asked the housekeeper to set dinner in the smaller dining room, the one with the arched windows overlooking the garden instead of the formal dining room my mother preferred because it made people sit up straighter. The table was set with low candles, white plates, linen napkins, and a centerpiece of dark red dahlias that looked like they had come prepared for conflict. The kitchen sent out roasted sea bass, herbed potatoes, grilled vegetables, and a salad no one would remember. I stood in the living room when the bell rang, staring toward the entry as if the door itself had betrayed me. My house at dusk was my favorite version of it. The walls held the last warmth of the day. Lamps glowed in corners. Books softened the shelves. The French doors stood open to the terrace, and the smell of night jasmine drifted in from the garden. It did not deserve this. Maria, my housekeeper, opened the door. My mother entered first, wearing cream silk and victory. Black, she said, kissing my cheek. Trial. Stubborn. Genetic. She smiled. Yes, unfortunately for both of us. Alex entered behind her. Not in last night's dress, obviously. Somehow worse. She wore tailored trousers in a dark charcoal, a soft white shirt open at the throat, and a lightweight black jacket that looked easy, expensive without announcing it, and entirely too comfortable on her. Her hair was loose tonight, tucked behind one ear, and she carried herself with the infuriating calm of a woman arriving at dinner, not the scene of a social crime. Vivienne, she said. Alexandra. My mother sighed. We'll make progress eventually. No, we won't, I said. Alex's eyes moved over me once. Not rudely. Not even openly. But I felt it. Which was inconvenient. You look ready to argue, she said. I dressed for the theme. Good. I hate being overdressed alone. My mother beamed. See, she said. Balance. Please stop saying balance like it excuses fraud. Fraud is such an ugly word. Correct words often are. We moved into the dining room. My mother sat at the head of the table without asking, which surprised no one. Alex took the chair across from me. I noticed that she waited until I sat before she did. Polite. Not performative. Damn her again. Dinner began with a silence that had excellent manners. My mother broke it first. Arthur called me. I set down my fork. Already? This afternoon. Of course he did. He congratulated me. Asked if we had chosen a date. Alex's hand paused over her water glass. I turned to my mother. A date. For the engagement party, she said. Why would we have an engagement party? Because you are engaged. We are not. Socially, darling, you are. Alex leaned back slightly. Mrs. Dawson. Evelyn. No. My mother smiled into her wine. Alex continued. You said 1 year. Last night it sounded like public stability. Now we're discussing engagement parties. We are discussing consequences. You created the consequences. Yes. And now I'm managing them. I looked at Alex. Welcome to my childhood. Thank you. It's very well catered. I almost smiled. Almost. My mother saw it. I hated this family. Arthur trusts stability, commitment, continuity, she said. He understands family structure. He respects visible alliances. I am not a monarchy, I said. No, but you operate in rooms that still behave like one. Alex's gaze moved from my mother to me. What does Arthur want from Vivienne? She asked. I noticed the full name. She was being careful. My mother answered before I could. Access. Influence. Proximity. His son needs direction, and Vivienne looks like a very elegant solution. I am sitting right here, I said. Yes, and doing beautifully. Mother. She ignored me. Arthur is not a villain. He is simply old-fashioned enough to believe personal relationships should support business interests. That is a villain with stationery, I said. Alex looked down at her plate. Again, shoulders moved once. Laugh and I'll ask you to leave, I told her. I was admiring the stationery line. My mother looked delighted. I pointed at her. Do not. I said nothing. You thought something. I am allowed an interior life. Not tonight. Evelyn sipped her wine. I don't want Arthur steering James toward you. I don't want my credibility damaged after last night. And I don't want another year of watching you pretend your private life is a minor administrative inconvenience. The room changed. Only slightly. But enough. Alex's expression sobered. I sat back. There it is. There what is? The real reason. All the reasons are real. No. Arthur is convenient. Your credibility is convenient. But this, I gestured between us at the table, the candles, the absurdity. This is because you think you can select better than I can. My mother did not flinch. I know I can. Alex looked at her sharply. I laughed. It had no humor in it. Unbelievable. Not unbelievable, my mother said. Demonstrate it. No. Jessica, she said. My jaw tightened. Alex went very still. I looked at my mother with quiet warning. Don't. Decorative. Empty. Beautiful in photographs and absent in every room that required substance. Enough. John. Mother. Smug, ambitious, and convinced your success was a temporary imbalance he would eventually correct. I set my napkin beside my plate. Stop. And Bradley, my mother said softer now. The name landed differently. Not loud. Heavy. Alex's gaze lowered to the table. Good. At least one of us had manners. My mother's voice softened, but did not weaken. Bradley was your own choice. I did not interfere. I watched you choose with your heart, which I was proud of you for doing, and then I watched her break it with the carelessness of someone who mistook access for love. The dining room was too warm. The candles too close. The night beyond the windows too still. I looked at my mother. That pain does not give you authority. No, she said. But loving you gives me motive. There it was. The problem with my mother was not that she did not love me. It was that she loved me with the organizational instincts of a hostile takeover. Alex spoke then. Quietly. Vivienne is right. I looked at her. So did my mother. Alex held Evelyn's gaze. You crossed a line. My mother did not answer immediately. Several, Alex added. I should not have appreciated it. I did. Thank you, I said. Alex glanced at me. Don't get comfortable. I'm not finished. Of course. Mrs. Dawson, you put us in an impossible position, Alex said. But now that we're in it, I need to be very clear about something. My mother's eyes sharpened with interest. Alex turned to me. I did not like the steadiness in her face. Not because it was threatening. Because it was not. It was honest. I'm not interested in being decorative, she said. The words settled between us. I leaned back slightly. No one asked you to be. Yes, she said. You did. I absolutely did not. You want a public arrangement that stays neatly outside your real life. That is generally where fraud belongs. You want me to show up when needed, smile at the right people, wear the ring, maybe hold your hand in photographs, then disappear into a guest room or a calendar invite when the door closes. My silence was brief. Damning. Alex nodded once. Exactly. It is a practical boundary. It is theater. It is survival. It is half a thing pretending to be whole. I looked at her. You have known me for approximately 3 yoga classes and 1 felony. 1 gala. My mother committed the felony. Fair. You don't know what I want. I know what you're trying to protect. I laughed softly. Do you? Yes. That should have irritated me more than it did. Actually, no. It irritated me exactly enough. You are very confident, I said. I'm usually right. How restful for you. Not really. People hate it. I can imagine. Her mouth curved. There she was again, warm and maddening and too comfortable in my dining room. She clearly thought confidence was a personality, which was unfortunate, because on her, it almost worked. Alex set down her fork. If I'm doing this, she said, I'm not doing it halfway. The words were calm. My pulse was not. My mother watched us like a woman at the opera. What does that mean? I asked. It means no other people. The room went still. I blinked once. Excuse me. No dating around while wearing your ring. My ring. You know what I mean. No? I'd like you to explain the ring I apparently own now. My mother lifted one finger. We'll need to discuss that. Put your hand down. Alex did not smile. That was the problem. If she had teased, I could have dismissed her. Instead, she looked directly at me, green eyes steady in the candlelight. I'm serious, she said. I'm not giving up a year of my life, my privacy, and the possibility of meeting someone real, so I can help you perform commitment while you keep one foot outside of it. Meeting someone real, I repeated. Yes. Something small and sharp moved under my ribs. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I had no claim. No interest. No emotional investment. No reason whatsoever to dislike the idea of Alexander Brooks meeting someone real. And yet, my body, always eager to embarrass the family, disliked it immediately. You're free to refuse, I said. I know. Then refuse. I might. My mother made a small sound. Both of us looked at her. She smiled. Sorry. Tension does wonders for digestion. Mother. I'm quiet. You're radiating satisfaction. I can't help my complexion. Alex looked at me. Are you mad or just rich? For 1 second, I forgot the entire English language. Then I said, I beg your pardon? It's a genuine question. You have a very specific expression. I'm trying to learn the categories. My mother laughed. Actually laughed. I pointed at Alex with my knife. Safely. Mostly. That, I said, is not how one speaks to a woman one has been falsely engaged to for less than 24 hours. Alex leaned in slightly. Then teach me the etiquette. The candlelight caught her eyes. Not playful now. Not entirely. My throat went dry. I hated that. I hated even more that she noticed. Her gaze dropped for half a second to my mouth, then came back to my eyes. Oh no. No. Absolutely not. Not that easy. Wrong woman, sweetheart. I think, I said carefully, you are overestimating your role in this arrangement. And I think you're underestimating what happens when you put a real person inside a fake role. My mother's smile faded, but her eyes stayed bright. That line mattered. Even she knew it. Alex continued, I don't need instant romance. I don't need declarations. I don't need, her mouth twitched, whatever your mother has already planned in her head. Something tasteful, Evelyn murmured. But I do need honesty, Alex said. If we do this, we decide what it means. Not Arthur. Not gossip. Not your mother. My mother opened her mouth. Alex looked at her. Respectfully. My mother closed it again, delighted despite herself. I stared at Alex. I wanted to say no. I wanted to say this was absurd, invasive, impossible, insulting, inconvenient, reckless. I wanted to say many correct things in a cold voice until the entire room returned to sense. But sense had left sometime around whipped cauliflower. And Alex was right about the worst part. If we did this halfway, everyone would know. People like Arthur did not need proof. They needed scent. Uncertainty had a scent. Distance had a scent. Two women pretending poorly would become a story by Monday and a weakness by Friday. You're asking for exclusivity, I said. I'm requiring it. That's bold. That's honest. You barely know me. I know. That's why I'm not asking you to love me. My mother's eyes softened. Mine did not. I was too busy trying not to react. Alex said, I'm asking you not to make a mockery of something I'm giving up real time for. Compensated time, I said. Her face changed. Only slightly. Enough. Yes, she said. If I agree, I'll accept compensation. I'm not pretending my work, schedule, privacy, or reputation have no value. But don't confuse being paid for the inconvenience with being bought. There was again a line. Clean. Calm. Unmistakable. I respected it. I did not want to, but I did. My mother leaned back, satisfied in a way that made me want to throw a bread roll at her. Wonderful, she said. No, I said. Not wonderful. Productive, then. Manipulative. Progress often feels that way to the emotionally stubborn. Do you hear yourself? Clearly. I'm very articulate. Alex covered her mouth with her napkin. I looked at her. Don't. I didn't say anything. You're enjoying this. A little. You and my mother are a terrible combination. Yes, my mother said. Isn't it promising? No. The dinner stretched. Not pleasantly. Not unpleasantly either, which was somehow more dangerous. We argued details without officially admitting there were details to argue. Duration. Public appearances. Privacy. Boundaries. Compensation. Damage control. Communication. Who would know what? How much my team needed to prepare. Whether Alex would keep seeing clients. Of course she would. Whether I expected her to cancel travel. Of course not. Whether my mother had already imagined an engagement announcement. She had. She claimed it was only a draft. I considered confiscating her phone. Alex asked practical questions. Good ones. Annoyingly good ones. What happens if paparazzi pick it up? How public is public? Is this social only or business facing? Would my company need a statement? Did Alex's clients need to hear it from her before gossip reached them? Would there be a ring? Would we be expected to live together? At that, I said, no. Too quickly. Alex looked at me. My mother looked at me. Even the candles seemed judgmental. No. Alex said. That is unnecessary. For an engagement? For this kind of engagement. What kind is that? Temporary. My mother said, a year is not temporary in Los Angeles. It's practically a dynasty. I ignored her. Alex leaned back. So you want exclusivity, public commitment, social appearances, a ring, a believable narrative, and separate lives. I did not say I wanted exclusivity. I did. You required it. Yes. And I have not agreed. No, Alex said. You're still circling the word like it's a pool you suspect is cold. My mother whispered, excellent. Mother. What? It was. Alex kept looking at me. I hated being looked at by her. Not because it felt invasive. Because it felt accurate. We are not living together, I said. Then people won't believe it. People don't know where I sleep. People know more than you think. Is that your professional assessment? It's my human one. My jaw tightened. I have a guest house, I said. My mother closed her eyes briefly. Alex stared at me. Then she laughed. Not loudly, but enough. I felt my face go cold. Is something funny? Yes. Please share. You want me to be your fiancé from the guest house. It's a very nice guest house. I'm sure it has emotional distance and excellent finishes. My mother made a sound that she disguised as a cough. Alexandra, I said. Yes, Vivienne. The way she said my name that time was pure provocation. Polished. Warm. Entirely unacceptable. I leaned forward. You are very comfortable making assumptions. And you are very comfortable building escape routes. The room went quiet again. Not because of the words. Because they were true. I looked down at my plate. The sea base had gone cold. My appetite had left with my dignity. I need to think, I said. My mother softened slightly. Of course. Do not sound reasonable now. I am reasonable. You are a beautifully dressed crisis. That too. Alex looked at my mother. You understand this could hurt her. My mother's expression changed. For the first time all evening, she looked older. Not weak. Never weak. But the polish shifted, and something beneath it showed. Yes, she said. I do. The answer surprised Alex. It surprised me too. Evelyn looked at me then. I know pain doesn't make people wiser on schedule, she said quietly. I know I can't force you not to be hurt again. But I can recognize when you are choosing fear and calling it taste. My throat tightened before I could stop it. I hated that. I hated even more that Alex was there to see it. Mother, I said, but there was no force in it. She nodded once. I know. Then, because she was Vivienne Dawson and incapable of letting sincerity sit unaccompanied, she added, and I still maintain that my method has elegance. I stared at her. Alex laughed under her breath. I should have been furious. I was furious. I was also tired. Those two things often arrive together and charge separate fees. After dinner, my mother stood in the foyer with her clutch in hand, looking as fresh as if she had spent the evening at a spa instead of dismantling my private life by candlelight. I'll call you tomorrow, she said. No. I'll text. No. I'll send options. For what? She smiled. Rings. Absolutely not. Fine. I'll send inspiration. That is the same thing with better branding. She kissed my cheek. Sleep if you can. Comforting. You're welcome. Not now, obviously. Later. I gave her a look. She looked delighted with herself. Then she turned to Alex. Thank you for coming. Alex studied her for a second. You're a dangerous woman. My mother smiled. Only when necessary. I don't believe you know the difference. Not always, Evelyn admitted cheerfully. And then she left. Maria closed the door behind her. The house settled into silence. Alex and I stood in the entry under the soft amber light, surrounded by old wood, cream walls, the faint scent of dahlias from the dining room, and the consequences of my mother's imagination. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then Alex said, Your mother is a lot. I laughed once. Not elegantly. She'll be thrilled by that review. I didn't say bad. No. That's the problem. Alex looked toward the living room, then back at me. You have a beautiful house. Thank you. It suits you. I did not know what to do with that. Does it? Yes. Most people expect something colder. I'm not most people. No, I said. You've made that difficult to miss. Her mouth curved faintly. The silence changed. It became less empty. More aware. I hated that too. She was very present in my house. Not loud. Not intrusive in any obvious way. She simply occupied space as if she had a right to the air around her. I found that invasive. My body annoyingly found it memorable. I'm not agreeing tonight, I said. I know. Neither are you. No. But you're considering it. So are you. I looked away. She was right. Again. This was becoming a character flaw. From the hallway table, my phone buzzed. I picked it up. Kate, Mom says you're processing beautifully. Should I be worried? I typed back. She is holding language hostage. Is Alex there? I hesitated. Yes. 3 dots appeared immediately. Is she still hot in normal lighting? I closed my eyes. Alex's voice came from too close. Everything okay? I turned the phone screen down. My sister is unwell. Genetic. Apparently. Alex smiled. I slipped the phone into my pocket. You should go, I said. I should. Neither of us moved. Outside, the garden lights glowed against the dark. Somewhere beyond the open terrace doors, water moved softly in the pool. The night felt too warm for November, too quiet for Los Angeles, too intimate for a conversation between two women who were absolutely not engaged except in every way that mattered socially. Alex stepped toward the door, then paused. Vivienne. I looked at her. If this happens, she said, I need you to understand something. My chest tightened. What? I won't be cruel with it. That was not what I expected. Her voice was low now. Serious. I'm not going to use your mother's chaos as permission to push where you don't want me, she said. I'll challenge you. I'll argue. I'll probably annoy you. Probably. Definitely. Her mouth softened. But I won't be careless. The words moved through me slowly. Dangerous. Dangerous words. Careless had been the thing I knew too well. Careless charm. Careless promises. Careless hands. Careless apologies after the damage was already done. I looked at Alex and tried to place her in the same category. I could not. That annoyed me more than it comforted me. You say that now, I said. Yes. And later? Later I'll still be me. Is that supposed to reassure me? No. It's just true. I studied her. She let me. No performance. No flinch. No rush to fill the silence with charm. For a woman I had mentally classified as a flirt, Alexandra Brooks had an inconvenient amount of substance. I don't trust this, I said. I'd be concerned if you did. I don't trust you. That makes sense. I don't trust my mother. That also makes sense. I don't trust myself when I'm cornered. Something in Alex's face shifted. A small, serious recognition. Then don't decide from the corner, she said. Sleep. Think. Decide from wherever you are in the morning. The reasonable thing would have been to thank her. Instead I said, you're very irritating when you're decent. Her smile returned. Warm. Slow. Lethal in a quiet way. Careful, Vivienne. That almost sounded like a compliment. It wasn't. Noted. And don't call me Vivienne like that. Like what? Like you can see me, I thought. Aloud, I said, like you're enjoying it. Her smile deepened. There are rules about that already? There will be many rules. I look forward to breaking the decorative ones. Invasive. Controlled. Presumptuous. Accurate. I stared at her. She looked entirely too pleased. Wrong woman, sweetheart, I told her silently. Not that easy. Not even close. Alex opened the door, then glanced back once. Good night, Vivienne. I should have corrected her again. I did not. She left. The door closed softly behind her. I stood in the foyer for a long moment, listening to the house settle around me. Then I took out my phone. Kate had sent 3 more messages. Well? Did Mom buy you a wife? Please answer before I start looking at flights. I typed. No one bought anyone. Then, after a pause. But I may have a fiancé. Kate's reply came instantly. That is not better. I looked toward the dining room, where the candles still burned low, and then toward the dark windows where my reflection stared back at me with far less certainty than I preferred. My mother had crossed every line. Alex had drawn new ones. Arthur had already started talking. And I, apparently, was standing in my own beautiful house considering the practical terms of an engagement I had not chosen with a woman I barely knew, did not trust, found deeply invasive, and had absolutely no business noticing in a black dress. Wonderful. Healthy. Very on brand. I turned off the lamp in the foyer. My phone buzzed once more. This time from my mother. Sleep well, darling. Tomorrow will feel less impossible. I stared at the message. Then another one appeared. Not reasonable. Just less impossible. I hated her. I loved her. I was going to need legal counsel, emotional support, and possibly a stronger lock on my calendar. Upstairs, in the quiet of my bedroom, I finally took off my earrings and set them beside the bed. My phone lit again. Alex. A no number, technically. But I knew. A message appeared. For what it's worth, I'm thinking too. I sat on the edge of the bed. Read it once. Twice. Then typed. That sounds ominous. Her answer came a minute later. Only as long as you're committed to being dramatic. I stared at it. Then, despite myself, smiled. Small. Brief. Unacceptable. I typed. Good night, Alexandra. This time her reply came almost immediately. Good night, Viv. Viv. Not Vivienne. I should have hated it. I did hate it. Somewhere very close to liking it. I set the phone face down and looked toward the window, where the garden lights blurred softly through the glass. This was insane. Completely insane. And yet the shape of it had changed. By morning, it would not be a joke. By Monday, it would not be contained. By the end of the week, if we were not careful, it would become a life with rules, expectations, photographs, rings, dinners, lies that required truth to survive, and Alexandra Brooks standing too close to me in my own house, asking questions I did not want answered. My mother had started a fire and called it strategy. Alex had looked at the flames and started discussing architecture. And I, apparently, had not walked away. And just like that, I was engaged to Alexandra Brooks. God help us both. And if you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And if you'd like to support me directly, you can do it through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description. Every bit of support helps me create more stories like this for you.